It is Saturday, May 25th, 2024 at Protestia Studios, and this is your intelligence briefing coming to you from Protestia.com, where you can go to read all of the latest in Christian polemics and discernment news, sign up for the Insurgency email blast, and support us financially over at Patreon, patreon.com/Protestia, starting at only $5.95 a month. Let's get into the headlines. First headline at Protestia: lesbian pastor defrocked 20 years ago from United Methodist Church, reinstated after denomination goes full LGBTQ. A quote-unquote pastor who was removed from the United Methodist Church 20 years ago for being in a same-sex relationship has been reinstated following the demonic denomination's recent decision to affirm and celebrate homosexuality. Earlier this week, the United Methodist Church's Eastern Pennsylvania Annual Conference voted overwhelmingly to reinstate Reverend Beth Stroud, who was defrocked in 2004 after being discovered in a long-term romantic relationship with another woman. The decision comes after the denominational leaders struck down long-standing policies that prohibited LGBTQ individuals from serving as clergy members, opening the door for many others to be restored to leadership within the church. According to the Associated Press, in a closed meeting of clergy from the United Methodist Church's Eastern Pennsylvania region, Stroud exceeded the 2/3 vote requirement to be readmitted as a full member and pastor in the United Methodist Church. She says she doesn't plan on turning to full-time ministry anytime soon, as she spent the last 20 years teaching and is starting a new stint as a professor at the Methodist Theological School in Ohio, one of a dozen seminaries run by the United Methodist Church, but said she loves that she now has the option to return as clergy. Read more about this over at Protestia.com. Next headline: former Orange CEO Kristen Ivy retracts inappropriate relationship confession, now says she's a victim of clergy sexual abuse. Last month, Reggie Joyner, the founder of the Orange Conference, the largest family ministry conference in the world geared towards kids ministers, youth ministry, and quote-unquote next-gen ministry leaders, resigned from his role at Orange after confessing he's been having an affair with another leader. That other leader was CEO Kristen Ivy, the president and CEO of Orange, who has also resigned. While Ivy initially characterized the adulterous affair to the Orange board as an inappropriate relationship, an email from Ivy to the board members Joel Manby and Jennifer Barnes, obtained by the Roy's report, walks back those claims, saying she was in fact a victim of clergy sexual misconduct that she could not meaningfully consent to, and as a result, she should not shoulder the burden of responsibility. This sounds kind of familiar, but you can read more about what she said, including the screenshots from the email itself, in the article over at Protestia. She says she wasn't the only, quote, victim of Joyner, and that he repeated the same pattern with many young and vulnerable women. Joyner has yet to comment. We would note that this is essentially the same thing that Jennifer Lyell did. Jennifer Lyell and David Sills, one of the hallmark SBC abuse cases. Next headline at Protestia.com, quote, they went to heaven together. Young American missionary couple murdered in Haiti last night. A young American couple, and this was 2 nights ago at this point, but a young American couple who were serving as missionaries in Haiti were murdered yesterday evening, according to Missouri State Rep Ben Baker in a Facebook post, whose daughter was one of the victims. This is the screenshot here from Ben Baker's post. He wrote, my heart is broken in 1,000 pieces. I've never felt this kind of pain. Most of you know my daughter and son-in-law, Davy and Natalie Lloyd, are full-time missionaries in Haiti. They were attacked by gangs this evening and were both killed. They went to heaven together. Please pray for my family. We desperately need strength, and please pray for the Lloyd family as well. I have no other words for now. The couple was part of Missionaries in Haiti Incorporated, founded by Davy Lloyd's father 20 years ago, whose mission statement is to see the gospel of Christ make a difference in the lives of Haiti's young people. Read more about this over at Protestia.com, and please pray for the family and all others involved in really this very sad turn of events with these missionaries in Haiti. Next headline at Protestia: Florida priest bites woman who tried to take the communion quote-unquote cookie, the communion cookie, from him. A Florida woman has accused a priest of biting her arm at a church service last week during a dispute over whether she was allowed to partake in communion, according to NBC News. The woman attended a 10 a.m. service at St. Thomas Aquinas Church in St. Cloud on Sunday, tried to take communion, the Diocese of Orlando said. She had a brief discussion with the Reverend Fidel Rodriguez, who told her she hadn't taken the proper steps to secure communion and sent her away with a blessing, the diocese said in a statement. The woman returned for a service 2 hours later, tried again to take communion, and when Rodriguez asked her whether she had performed the prerequisite of confession required by the Catholic Church to receive the Eucharist, she told him, quote, it was not his business. Let's watch this just a little bit.
Hello. How are you guys? I'm Officer Partner. What's going on today?
I just got attacked by a father.
By who?
By a priest. Yeah.
What do you mean?
He's at church. At church. He bit me.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Bit you.
We just got in church.
That
Yes.
is interesting.
So we want to press charges if we could. Please.
Okay. How about this? Can I take a picture of that real
Over
quick?
a cookie. Oh, where we went to go get the freaking bread. Yeah. And then he just tapped it on my trying to force it in my mouth. And she said no. And I'm not gonna front. I did try to just grab another cookie because I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can I take a picture of that real quick?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Do you need medical treatment?
I think right now I'm okay. It's
It's
swelling
not something
down.
you usually hear when talking about communion. I'm not going to front.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
I said, I don't care, I am receiving communion. And she then said, let the communion out, you cannot do that, because you do the only defense that I found to defend that something from us, for all of us, is sacred, was by her. I have recognized that I by her. I'm not denying that.
Okay.
Then she started pushing me, greeting me, and
I think is he saying he bit her in self-defense?
I grabbed her and asked her to leave. She don't want to
Maybe.
leave, and she wouldn't leave, making a scandal in all the mass. The mass stopped. Everything was a disaster. A scandal in the mass.
So let me ask you something, Father. So you felt just a...
I recognized that by her as defense,
Okay.
and as defending myself and defending the sacrament.
So
That's
you
it.
felt like she was kind of, it's a sacred place, right? So she was kind of...
She made a scandal.
She was defiling.
She pushed me. She agreed with me. She was.
Well, in any case, Roman Catholics believe in transubstantiation, which is the belief the blood and wine literally turn into the actual no difference flesh and blood of Jesus, therefore would view, I guess, this assault on the host as no different than grabbing and crushing the literal person of Jesus. The woman in question disputes the account, saying that after the priest refused to give her the communion cookie to her, she challenged him on why he forcefully stuffed the wafer into her mouth and then bit her. This will be an interesting one to follow, I suppose. Next headline at protestia.com, Joe Biden's DOJ being sued for trying to put pro-life hero Mark Houck in prison. Houck, I believe, is how it's pronounced. This coming from Just the News. Pro-life activist Mark Houck this week sued the Department of Justice, alleging malicious persecution and an array of other wrongdoings by the government during its prosecution of him on federal charges. A jury acquitted Houck on all charges in January of last year. He had been accused of violating the Freedom of Access to Clinics Entrances Act, the FACE Act, with prosecutors alleging that he forcefully shoved Bruce Love, a Planned Parenthood volunteer. The case drew national attention over the FBI's 2022 arrest of Houck in front of his family. We have a link in our article over at Protestia to get over to the original written at justthenews.com, written by Ben Whedon and published at Just the News. Next headline at protestia.com, hate crime charges dropped against Satan statue destroyer Michael Cassidy, who now avoids jail time. Hate crime charges have been dropped against Michael Cassidy, the Christian nationalist hero, after he agreed to plead guilty to beheading and destroying a Baphomet statue set up by the Satanic Temple at the Iowa Capitol last December. Under this agreement, Cassidy will receive an $855 fine, 2 years of probation, and undisclosed determination costs. If he had been convicted of the hate crime, he was facing up to 2 years in prison and an $8,540 fine, according to the Republic Sentinel over there in Iowa. We did write a couple articles back when this happened that I would recommend that you read in terms of understanding what the Bible teaches about jurisdictional differences as applied to a case like this. We are in agreement that hate crime charges should be dropped because hate crimes basically amount to thought crimes. And the jurisdictional boundaries that we draw, biblically speaking, would not support such a thing. That being the case, we walked through why this was not the right thing to do for Michael Cassidy. Reach out if you have questions. I'm sure you will. If you read this, there's a lot of disagreement and difficulty understanding this matter. But the first one that I would recommend you read they should be in the op-ed column at protestia.com under the headline, I want to say that Christian nationalism is still getting it wrong on jurisdiction. That's the one that you should go to first, I would argue. But read about the rest about this, the hate crime charges being dropped against Michael Cassidy over at protestia.com. Last headline at Protestia, SBC Executive Committee President Jeff Iorg. Is that how it's pronounced? I always see it written, but I never hear it spoken. I probably should watch some video on this. But he opposes banning female pastors. This coming to us from the evangelical dark web. The Southern Baptist Convention is set to vote on ratifying the Mike Law Amendment, which will specify in the SBC Constitution that churches with female pastors are not in friendly cooperation with the convention. Before the vote last year, the Southern Baptist Convention Executive Committee let the issue go to a floor vote, but recommended against it. The trend is unchanged going into 2024, as the new SBC Executive Committee president has come out against the Mike Law Amendment. Before becoming president, Jeff Iorg was president of Gateway Theological Seminary in the Baptist Press. He published a long-winded column addressing his concerns with banning female pastors. Most of his concerns are practical. Those major arguments are theological. There's a link over in our article to get over to the Evangelical Web article on this, and we would recommend you read it. We will also be digging into Jeff's his column, I guess you would say, or his article, whatever you want to call it, over at Baptist Pravda, also known as the Baptist Press, and explaining what is right and what is wrong with it, where he's getting it right and where he's getting it wrong. Hopefully we will have that available to you very shortly. In any case, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of the Intelligence Briefing for Saturday, May 25th, 2024. Stay tuned at protestia.com for all of your latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. We'll see you again real soon. As always, Semper Reformanda.